The emergency alarm rang through Outpost Vega 7. Red lights flashed in every hallway. Una Park jumped from her chair in the human quarters and ran toward the medical bay. Her heart beat fast. She had been a medic for 8 years on Earth, but she had only worked on this alien space station for 3 months. The station floated at the edge of known space. It was a place where many different alien species came for medical help. Humans were new to the Galactic Union. Most aliens thought humans were strange creatures. They said humans were too emotional, too weak, too primitive. Una did not care what they thought. She only cared about saving lives. She burst through the medical bay doors. The room was chaos. Alien doctors moved quickly between beds. Nurses shouted in languages Una did not understand. Her translator device buzzed in her ear, trying to keep up with all the voices. "What happened?" she asked a passing nurse. "Shuttle crash," the nurse said without stopping. 12 injured, maybe more. Una looked around the room. She saw Taiho Kim, her friend and fellow human, helping to move equipment. He was an engineer, not a medic, but he always came to help during emergencies. He gave her a quick nod. His face was serious. In the center of the room stood Dr. Velith, the chief medical officer. Velith was a Corvani, a tall insect-like alien with 4 arms and large compound eyes that saw everything at once. The Corvani were famous for their medical knowledge. They were also famous for their cold logic. Velith moved from bed to bed, examining each patient. The doctor spoke in a flat voice, calling out numbers. Category 2. Category 3. Category 1. Each number meant how badly the patient was hurt and how much help they would receive. Una walked closer, looking for a way to help. That was when she saw the small figure on the bed in the corner. It was a Tarani. The Tarani were small, furry aliens with big ears and even bigger eyes. They looked a little like the cats Una remembered from Earth, but they walked on 2 legs and were very intelligent. This Tarani was young, maybe the same as a human teenager. The young Tarani was shaking. Their fur was matted with blue blood. Their big eyes were wide with fear. Una could see the terrible wounds on their body. Burns, broken bones, internal damage. It was very bad. Dr. Velith walked to the bed. The doctor examined the young Tarani for exactly 15 seconds. Then Velith spoke the words that made Una's blood turn cold. Category 7. Una knew what that meant. In Corvani medicine, Category 7 meant untreatable. It meant the doctors would not try to save the patient. They would only give medicine to stop the pain. They would let the patient die. "No," Una said before she could stop herself. Dr. Velith turned those compound eyes toward her. "You disagree with my diagnosis, human." "The patient is young," Una said. "Young patients can survive injuries that would kill adults. Please, let me try to help them." Velith made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Human medicine is primitive. You cut open bodies with metal tools. You use chemicals that poison as much as they heal. Your techniques are 100 years behind ours." "But we save patients that your medicine gives up on," Una said. The room went quiet. Other alien staff stopped what they were doing. They stared at the small human woman who dared to challenge the chief medical officer. "The patient's injuries are too severe," Velith said. "To attempt treatment would waste resources that could save others. This is simple mathematics. 1 life versus many. The Corvani do not let emotion cloud our judgment." "This is not about mathematics," Una said. "This is about a child who is scared and alone and dying." "Yes," Velith said, "and they will die more comfortably if we do not subject them to painful treatments that will fail anyway. My decision is final." The doctor walked away. Nurses began to move the young Tarani to a different part of the medical bay. The terminal ward, the place where patients went to die. Una stood frozen. She watched as they wheeled the bed away. The young Tarani's eyes found hers. In those big, dark eyes, Yuna saw something that broke her heart. She saw hope. The patient was looking at her like she might save them. Taiho appeared beside her. "Yuna," he said softly, "there is nothing you can do. Corvani medical law is very clear. If the chief medical officer makes a decision, no one can change it." "I know," Yuna whispered. "If you interfere, they could arrest you. They could send you back to Earth. Your career would be over." "I know," Yuna said again. She stood at the window of the terminal ward. Through the glass, she could see the young Torani lying alone on a bed. Machines beeped slowly. The patient's ears were pressed flat against their head. A sign of fear. A sign of despair. Yuna thought about her grandmother back on Earth. Her grandmother had been a nurse during the war. She used to tell Yuna stories about the soldiers she had treated. "Medicine is not just about the body," her grandmother always said. "It is about the spirit. A patient who wants to live will fight harder than any medicine can." The young Torani began to cry. Small whimpering sounds that Yuna could hear even through the thick glass. The patient was alone. No family, no friends, just machines and silence and the slow approach of death. Yuna pressed her hand against the glass. Her heart ached. Every part of her training told her to respect the alien doctor's decision. Every rule of this station said she should walk away, but she was human, and humans did not leave others to die alone. She made her decision. Whatever the cost, she would not let this child face death without someone by their side. She would not let them die thinking that nobody cared. Yuna turned away from the window and began to plan. The station was quiet at 3 in the morning. Most of the staff had gone to sleep. The emergency was over. The patients who could be saved had been treated. The ones who could not were waiting in the terminal ward. Yuna sat on the floor outside the terminal ward. She had been there for hours. Her back hurt from sitting against the cold metal wall. Her eyes were tired, but she could not leave. Through the window, she watched the young Torani. The patient's name was Rilko. She had learned this from the medical files. Rilko was 15 years old in Torani years. They had been traveling to visit family when the shuttle crashed. Now they were alone. Thousands of light years from home, dying in a room full of strangers. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Taiho appeared, carrying 2 cups. He sat down beside Yuna and handed her one. "Coffee," he said. "Well, the machine says it is coffee. I think it is lying." Yuna took the cup but did not drink. She stared at the brown liquid. "Thank you." Taiho followed her gaze to the window. "You have been here all night. I cannot sleep." "Yuna." Taiho's voice was gentle. "You cannot save everyone. The Corvani have been practicing medicine for thousands of years. If Dr. Velith says the patient cannot be saved, then maybe they are wrong," Yuna said. Taiho was quiet for a moment. "What are you going to do?" Yuna finally looked at him. Her eyes were tired, but determined. "I am going to break the rules." "Yuna, no. If you interfere with a Category 7 patient, they will arrest you. Galactic Union medical law is very strict. You could go to prison. Then they can arrest me after Rilko is breathing on their own." Taiho stared at her. He had known Yuna for 2 years. He knew that when she made up her mind, nothing could change it. "What do you need me to do?" Yuna smiled for the first time that night. "Watch the hallway. Tell me when the night staff rotates." They waited another hour. At exactly 4 in the morning, the night nurse left the terminal ward to report to the main medical bay. There would be 10 minutes before the next nurse arrived. "Now," Taiho whispered. Yuna stood up. Her legs were stiff from sitting so long. She took a deep breath and walked to the door of the terminal ward. It opened with a soft hiss. The room was dark and quiet. Machines beeped softly. The air smelled like antiseptic and something else, something sad. This was a room where people came to die. Yuna walked between the beds. There were 4 other patients in the room, but they were all sleeping or unconscious. She moved to the bed in the corner where Rilko lay. The young Tarani was awake. Their big, dark eyes watched Yuna approach. There was fear in those eyes. Fear and confusion. Rilko did not understand why the human was here. Yuna did not stand over the bed like the Corvani doctors did. Instead, she knelt down so that her face was at the same level as Rilko's. She moved slowly, carefully, like she was approaching a frightened animal. "Hello?" she said softly. "My name is Yuna. I am a human. Do you understand me?" Rilko's ears twitched. The translator was working. The young Tarani nodded weakly. "You are scared," Yuna said. "I know, being alone is the worst feeling in the world, but I want you to know something." She reached out and gently took Rilko's small, furry hand in her own. The Tarani flinched at first. Physical contact between species was not common in the Galactic Union, but Yuna did not let go. "I am here," Yuna whispered. "I am not going anywhere. Easy, buddy, easy." Rilko's eyes filled with tears. Not blue Tarani tears, but clear ones, like human tears. Yuna had not known Tarani could cry like that. "I am scared," Rilko said. Their voice was small and weak. "I do not want to die." "I know," Yuna said. "And you are not going to die. Not today. Not if I have anything to say about it." She squeezed Rilko's hand gently. The machines around them continued to beep. But something was changing. Yuna could see it on the monitors. Rilko's heart rate, which had been fast and irregular, was starting to slow down. The young Tarani's breathing was becoming deeper and more even. Rilko's ears, which had been pressed flat against their head, slowly began to rise. In Tarani body language, that meant they were feeling calmer, safer. "How are you doing this?" Rilko whispered. "Doing what?" "Making me feel better. No medicine, no machines, just talking." Yuna smiled. Humans discovered a long time ago that the body and the mind are connected. When you feel alone and scared, your body gives up. But when you feel safe and loved, your body fights to survive. It is not magic. It is just being human. The door to the terminal ward opened. Yuna turned to see Dr. Velith standing in the doorway. The Corvani doctor's compound eyes reflected the light from the machines. For a long moment, Velith said nothing. "You are not supposed to be here," Velith said finally. "I know," Yuna said. She did not let go of Rilko's hand. Velith walked closer. The doctor looked at the monitors, then at Yuna, then at Rilko. "The patient's vital signs have stabilized. That should not be possible." "Humans call it the will to live," Yuna said. "When a patient believes they can survive, their body responds. When they have something to fight for, they fight harder." "That is not science," Velith said. "That is superstition." "Look at the data," Yuna said. "Tell me the data is superstition." Velith was silent. The doctor studied the monitors for a long time. Then, slowly, Velith turned to face Yuna. "You have 12 hours, Velith said. "Prove to me that your human methods can save this patient. If you fail, you will be removed from this station and charged with medical interference." Yuna nodded. 12 hours. I only need 10. Velith made that strange sound again, the one that might have been a laugh. Then the doctor turned and walked out of the room. Yuna looked back at Rilko. The young Torani was watching her with wide eyes. "You are going to save me?" Rilko asked. "We are going to save you together," Yuna said. "I need you to fight. Can you do that for me?" Rilko squeezed her hand. "I will try. That is all I ask." The next 12 hours were the longest of Yuna's life. She worked without rest, using every bit of medical knowledge she had learned on Earth. Taiho stayed by her side, helping her modify alien equipment to work with human techniques. This machine is designed for Corvani patients, Taiho said, looking at a piece of equipment. Their bodies are very different from Torani. Can you change it? Yuna asked. I can try. Give me 20 minutes. While Taiho worked on the machines, Yuna focused on Rilko. She cleaned the wounds carefully. She gave medicine for the pain. But most importantly, she talked. She never stopped talking. Tell me about your family, Yuna said as she worked. Rilko's voice was weak, but the young Torani tried to answer. My mother works in a garden. She grows flowers that sing when the sun rises. My father builds ships. He was the one who taught me to love space travel. Flowers that sing? Yuna smiled. That sounds beautiful. They do not really sing. They make a sound when they open. My father says it sounds like crying, but my mother says it is singing. They always argue about it. That sounds like my parents, too, Yuna said. My father said my mother's cooking was too spicy. My mother said his taste was too weak. They argued about it every dinner. Rilko made a small sound. It took Yuna a moment to realize it was a laugh. A weak, painful laugh, but still a laugh. Other staff members walked past the room. Some stopped to watch through the window. A Corvani nurse named Thrix stood there for a long time, her 4 arms crossed. The human is wasting her time, Thrix said loudly. Playing with a corpse. That is all human medicine is. Yuna heard the words but did not respond. She kept her focus on Rilko. She kept talking about Earth, about Korean food, about her grandmother who had taught her that healing came from the heart as much as from medicine. Hour 6 came, then hour 7. Rilko's condition was stable but not improving. Yuna could see the doubt in Taiho's eyes, but she refused to give up. Then, at hour 8, everything went wrong. The machines started screaming. Red lights flashed. Rilko's body began to shake. The young Torani's eyes rolled back in their head. Cardiac arrest, Taiho shouted. Corvani medical staff rushed into the room. Dr. Velith was among them. They looked at the monitors, at the dying patient, and then at Yuna. The patient is gone, Velith said. Begin recording time of death. No, Yuna said. She pushed past the Corvani staff and climbed onto Rilko's bed. She placed her hands on the young Torani's chest and began to push. Hard, fast, again and again. What is she doing? Thrix demanded. Stop her. She is damaging the body. It is called CPR, Taiho said, stepping between the nurses and the bed. Cardiopulmonary resuscitation. It is a human technique. She is trying to restart the heart. That is impossible, Velith said. Once the heart stops, it cannot be restarted. Watch, Yuna said through gritted teeth. She kept pushing. Her arms burned. Sweat dripped down her face. But she did not stop. 1 minute passed. The Corvani watched in confusion. They had never seen anything like this. In their medicine, once a patient's heart stopped, treatment ended. There was no point in continuing. 2 minutes. Yuna's shoulders screamed in pain. Her hands were going numb. But she thought about Rilko's parents, waiting somewhere in the galaxy, not knowing their child was dying. She thought about her grandmother, who had saved soldiers when everyone else had given up. Yuna, Taiho said softly. Maybe. We do not stop, Yuna said. We do not stop until I say we stop. 3 minutes. The room was silent except for the sound of Yuna's hands pressing against Rilko's chest. The Corvani stood frozen, watching this strange human ritual they could not understand. Then the machines beeped. Not the screaming alarm of death. A different sound. A steady, rhythmic beep. Everyone looked at the monitor. The flat line that had meant death was moving again. Up and down, a heartbeat. That is impossible, Velith whispered. Rilko coughed. Their eyes fluttered open, confused, scared, but alive. Yuna collapsed beside the bed, her whole body shaking from exhaustion. but she did not let go of Rilko's hand. She squeezed it gently and smiled. "I told you," she whispered. "I am not going anywhere." The room remained silent. Thrix, who had called human medicine playing with corpses, stared at Una with an expression that might have been shock, or maybe respect. Dr. Veleth walked slowly to the bed. The Corvani doctor looked at the monitors, at Rilko, and finally at Una. "In 60 years of medical practice," Veleth said quietly, "I have never seen anyone bring a patient back from death." "Humans do not accept death easily," Una said. "We fight it, we rage against it. Sometimes we lose, but sometimes we win." Taiho helped Una to her feet. She was exhausted, barely able to stand, but she was smiling. "The patient needs rest," Veleth said. "And so do you, human. We will continue this treatment." Together. It was the first time a Corvani doctor had ever offered to work alongside a human. It was not much, but it was a beginning. Una nodded. She looked at Rilko one more time. The young Tarani was sleeping now, their chest rising and falling with steady breaths. Their ears were relaxed, peaceful, alive. 1 week passed, then 2. Rilko did not die. Every day the young Tarani grew a little stronger. The wounds healed. The broken bones mended. The doctors said it was impossible, but the proof was right in front of them. Una visited Rilko every morning before her shift and every evening after. She brought small gifts from the human section of the station. A book of Earth stories, a picture of the ocean, a small plant that Taiho had grown in his room. "What is this?" Rilko asked, touching the plant's leaves. "It is called basil," Una said. "Humans use it in food. It smells nice." Rilko brought the plant close to their face and sniffed. Their ears twitched with surprise. "It smells like my mother's garden. Different flowers, but the same feeling." "Home," Una said. "It smells like home." The other staff at Vega 7 watched these visits with curiosity. At first, they did not understand. Why would a doctor spend so much time with one patient? Why talk when medicine could work faster? Why waste energy on feelings? But slowly, they began to notice something. Patients who received visits from the humans recovered faster than those who did not. Patients who had someone to talk to, someone to hold their hand, fought harder to live. One morning, Dr. Veleth called Una to a private meeting room. Una expected trouble. She had broken so many rules in the past weeks. Surely the punishment was finally coming. But when she entered the room, Veleth did something unexpected. The tall Corvani doctor did not stand over her. Instead, Veleth sat down on a chair, bringing their compound eyes to the same level as Una's. "Please sit," Veleth said. Una sat. Her heart was beating fast. "I have been a doctor for 60 years, Veleth began. "In that time, I have saved thousands of lives. I have written papers that changed how Corvani practice medicine. I thought I understood everything about healing." The doctor paused. Una waited. "Then you arrived, a human, young, inexperienced by Corvani standards, using techniques we considered primitive." Veleth's voice was soft, almost confused. "And you saved a patient I had declared dead." "I just did what any human doctor would do," Una said. "That is exactly my point." Veleth leaned forward. "Tell me, Una, how do humans do it? How do you make patients want to live?" Una thought for a moment. "We do not make them want to live. We remind them that they are not alone. We show them that someone cares whether they live or die. We give them a reason to fight." "That is not medicine," Veleth said. "No," Una agreed. "It is just being human." Veleth was quiet for a long time. The compound eyes reflected the lights of the room. Finally, the doctor spoke again. "I want to try something new. I want to add human methods to our treatment procedures, not to replace Corvani medicine, but to work alongside it." Una's eyes widened. You want to teach Corvani doctors to care? I want to learn, Velith said, and I want you to teach me. The news spread quickly through the station. Not everyone was happy. Thrix and some other Corvani staff thought the idea was foolish. They said Velith had lost their mind. They said human emotions had no place in real medicine. But the data did not lie. Patients who received emotional support had better survival rates. They recovered faster. They reported less pain. The numbers proved what Una had always known. Slowly, other doctors began to ask questions. How did humans comfort patients? What words did they use? Why did physical touch matter? Una answered every question, teaching skills that humans learned from childhood. Word spread beyond Vega 7. Other medical stations in the Galactic Union heard about the human medic who had brought a dead patient back to life. Some thought it was a story, an exaggeration. Others wanted to learn more. Requests began arriving at Earth. Alien species wanted human medics at their hospitals, not for human technology or human science, but for human presence, for the strange human ability to make patients feel less alone. Taiho laughed when he heard about the requests. We have become the galaxy's emotional support animals, Una punched his shoulder. That is a terrible way to describe it. But it is true, he said, still grinning. Aliens spent thousands of years thinking humans were primitive. Now they want us in their hospitals because we know how to hold hands and say nice words. It is more than that, Una said. It is about connection. Every living thing in the universe needs connection. They just forgot how to ask for it. That evening, Una visited Rilko for the last time as a patient. The young Tarani was being released the next day. A ship was coming to take Rilko home to their family. I do not know how to thank you, Rilko said. The Tarani's big eyes were wet with tears. You saved my life. You saved your own life, Una said. I just reminded you that it was worth saving. Rilko reached out and took Una's hand. I want to be like you, the young Tarani said. I want to help people the way you helped me. Then do it, Una said. You have seen the darkness. You know how scary it is to be alone and afraid. Use that knowledge. Help others find their way back to the light. Rilko nodded slowly. Something had changed in the young Tarani's eyes. The fear was gone. In its place was something new. Purpose. I will, Rilko said. I promise. 1 year had passed since the night Una knelt beside a dying Tarani and whispered words of comfort. In that time, everything had changed. Outpost Vega 7 was no longer just a medical station. It had become a school, a place where doctors from across the galaxy came to learn the art of human compassion. They called it the Integrated Care Program, and Una was its director. She stood at the window of her new office, looking out at the stars. Behind her, the walls were covered with letters from patients she had helped, pictures from families who wanted to thank her, awards from medical organizations that once laughed at human medicine. Taiho entered without knocking. He never knocked. After everything they had been through, such formality seemed silly. The new students are arriving, he said. 12 Corvani, 8 Telrath, 5 Vorn, and... He paused, smiling. 1 Tarani. Una turned from the window. Rilko? Arrived this morning, already asking questions, very eager. Una smiled. She had known Rilko would come back. After leaving Vega 7, the young Tarani had spent months recovering at home. Then Rilko had enrolled in medical training, studying day and night, driven by a single goal: to return to the station where a human had taught them the true meaning of medicine. I want to see them, Una said. She found Rilko in the training hall with the other new students. The young Tarani had grown, not just physically, but in other ways. There was confidence in Rilko's posture, strength in their eyes. The scared child who had cried in the terminal ward was gone. In their place stood someone ready to help others. Director Park, Rilko said, standing straight. It is good to see you again. Director Park? Yuna laughed. You can still call me Yuna. Not anymore, Rilko said seriously. You are the most famous human in the Galactic Union. Every student here dreams of learning from you. Yuna felt her face grow warm. She had never wanted fame. She just wanted to save lives. But the galaxy had other plans. Tell me why you are here, Yuna said to Rilko. I want to hear it in your own words. Rilko thought for a moment. In my application, I wrote that a human taught me medicine is not just about fixing bodies. It is about refusing to let someone face the dark alone. That is why I am here, to learn how to be that light for others. Yuna nodded. There were tears in her eyes, but she did not hide them. Humans did not hide their feelings. That was what made them special. Welcome to Vega 7, she said. Your training begins now. That evening, the emergency alarm rang again. It had been quiet for weeks, but emergencies always came when least expected. Another shuttle crash, more wounded, more lives hanging in the balance. Yuna ran to the medical bay with her students behind her. They arrived to find chaos, just like that night 1 year ago. Doctors shouting, machines beeping, patients crying. Dr. Veleth was already there, moving from bed to bed. The Corvani doctor had changed in the past year. Veleth still used logic and data, but now also looked at patients with something like warmth. Multiple injuries, Veleth reported. Most are stable, but we have one critical case. Yuna followed Veleth to a bed in the corner. Her heart stopped when she saw the patient. It was a Corvani child, small, fragile, covered in wounds. The compound eyes were dim with pain. This was the first Corvani child Yuna had ever treated. Veleth looked at the monitors. Then the doctor did something that would have been unthinkable 1 year ago. Veleth stepped back and looked at Yuna. What do we do? Veleth asked. Not, what do I do? We, together. Yuna moved to the bed. She knelt down, just like she had done for Rilko 1 year ago. She was the first human to ever do this for a Corvani patient. The other staff watched in silence. Carefully, gently, Yuna took the Corvani child's small hand. She looked into those compound eyes, so different from human eyes, yet filled with the same fear that every dying creature feels. Easy, buddy, Yuna whispered. I am here. I am not going anywhere. The words were simple, just words. But they carried the weight of everything humanity had to offer the galaxy. Not technology, not weapons, not science, compassion. Across the room, Rilko watched. The young Tarani remembered lying in a bed just like this one, remembered the fear, the loneliness, the feeling that death was coming and no one cared. And Rilko remembered the human who had knelt beside them and refused to let them die alone. Now Rilko understood something that no textbook could teach, something that no Corvani lecture could explain. Humans were not special because of their strength. They were not special because of their intelligence. They were not special because of their technology. Humans were special because they refused to give up. They were special because they cared about strangers. They were special because they would fight death itself for someone they had never met. That was what made humanity fearsome. That was what made humanity wonderful. The Corvani child's hand squeezed Yuna's. Weak, but present. Fighting. Yuna smiled. That is it, she said. Keep fighting. I am right here. Outside the window, the stars burned bright. Somewhere among them, countless species were learning a lesson that humans had always known. No one should ever die alone.